To everybody that commissioned me, I'm sorry, I can't do them. I thought I could, but I realized just how slow, distracted, and just tired I am. I can't refund either because I don't have the money to. These days, I only ever spend it on food, rent, and commutes to and from work.
This short clip from my last video led to a lot of concern that I need to clarify, and it took me longer than it should have to respond. I was resistant to adding context. I just didn't want to talk about it. It was too fucking much, man. I owe commissions, but to put it bluntly, no. I'm not scamming anyone. No one is being scammed. I didn't ghost anyone. My commissions have been closed for a very long time. But at the end of the day, this is bad business practice that hurts trust. Unfortunately, things have gotten so complicated that I must go over them. The short answer is I came back too soon because I don't have much time left. But in case you want the long answer, here goes nothing. In 2024, I talked about my Ferret Fresh experience. 97 minutes long, but in short, in 2023, somebody else blocking Ferret Fresh resulted in friends of years shunning and then eventually smearing my name. I was already not okay. I just didn't know it then. Led to public mental breakdown, labeled mentally ill. Got to the point of being hospitalized twice, my own father disowning me, and whole thing fucked me up for 2 years. I left the sauna community and isolated myself for over a year. Besides just one, all the commissions I owe now were taken before the events in that video. But since then, I just couldn't do them. I lost passion for art. I just wanted to focus on treatment now that I had proper diagnoses and medication. I made an announcement about all the changes going forward. That included all commissions I had beyond basic sketches will be refunded. But because of my father disowning me, I wasn't able to afford this. Now I had rent to deal with, took on extra jobs using my car to keep my finances stable enough to eventually carry them out. Now, I wasn't innocent. Had my own share of fuck-ups. But after the video was finished, I just wanted to move on. I wanted to heal and fix my life, now that a huge weight was lifted off my back. I didn't know whether I wanted to ever return publicly, but I would still refund the commissions personally once I started my healing process. And before I ever could, my car broke down. That car was the only thing that kept my finances straight. And so for the past year and a half, I've been dealing with what I could only call a crisis. It prevented me from continuing school, accessing my medication, having enough food, and just having a life outside of a low-paying job. All that with nobody that year. At some point I got tired and just accepted it. The next time I couldn't pay, that was it. I gave up. I thought I pushed everyone far enough away, they'd be happy to see me gone. And then something clicked. Something clicked. The only thing that kept me going in this period were the boys in real life. They're some of the realest, most honest nerds that you could ever meet. One of them was a nurse at the hospital. Ran into him there. He was my nurse. It fucking broke my heart, man. He knew what I was there for, just thinking about it. Just thinking about it gave me the strength to try getting my life back. Because of this crisis, I could only save up enough for paying rent. And that was it. As for commissions, like I said, I don't have the ability to finish them. Not at this moment. So the other option is to refund them. One of the cheaper commissions I owe have already been refunded, but anything else can't be done at the moment. It all depends on how much I have left after payment. The original goal was to raise enough money to fix my car. Simply selling it, especially if it's not drivable, it's not a good idea. Might solve the money problem for a moment, but I live in an area where infrastructure is so outdated that having your own car is necessary. If I sell the car, which already wasn't worth much when I bought it, buying a new one would be impossible with how expensive even used ones are today. It's essentially cheaper to fix the car than to buy a new one. So since my car isn't drivable, I've been using Uber to get around. But the commutes were so expensive that I could only use the service for work. If the car works, I'd basically be free. I'd be able to get medicine, go back to school, ease my financial pressure since I wouldn't need Uber anymore. And most importantly, finally heal. Finally seek peace. Explore places, go outside, get more jobs, and just be healthy. I managed to get part of the car fixed earlier this year. There were still a few things that I needed to take care of before I could actually drive it. These were all things that I could do myself. I have some experience with car repair, and it's the least expensive option with all things considered. The labor it takes isn't the problem. The real problem is money. My job does not pay enough, and I don't get enough shifts per week. On average, the pay is about $300 every 2 weeks, which is really fucking embarrassing when you think about it, but it could be so much higher if I had more hours. I fought tooth and nail with my bosses to give me more hours, and the most I could get is 2 per week, Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes a coworker may call out and I can request one more shift, but it's extremely uncommon. The money I get is so low that I have to decide between saving it for rent, saving it for commutes, or using it to buy food. Like, I have already lost so much weight from just not eating, just skipping meals. Like I can see the bones in my arms at this point. Like, this is fucking terrifying. So why not get a second job? That's the thing. I tried. I've sought innumerable jobs, ones that were close enough to me so that the commutes wouldn't be too expensive. Even with a 2-year degree and proper resumes in hand, I'd never get past the interviews, much less the initial applications. That and most jobs here require reliable transportation, so I'm automatically locked out of most opportunities until my car can run again. Now, as I was recording this, I did have an interview. The job is close enough that a car isn't necessary, and while the new job won't help me soon, it could at least supplement my income for the next month, so I hopefully won't have to come back like this again. It's just a matter of if I get the job. And if I don't, considering what this job is, it's really fucking embarrassing. So how much do I need to pay exactly? There's $757 due on the 12th. $650 for rent alone, $107 for utilities. For time's sake, the utilities fee can wait. The important part is I need $650. At this moment, I have about $480 in my wallet. That leaves me with about $200 short. It was at this point, this summer, I abandoned my original plans and started creating adopts. As I said, I couldn't fix my car and maintain rent payments at the same time. I really didn't want to do this because 1, I knew I still had commissions to finish or refund, and 2, I was still mentally disturbed from everything that happened. I haven't even made practice sketches yet before I chose to do this. All in all, I returned to public posting prematurely because I was in a dire need for money. I've chosen not to explain this openly because I just thought it was a sign of weakness. That would have put me in a dangerous spot again. The biggest mistake that I've ever made in the very first video was opening up to basically strangers, right? Because they weren't friends, they were fucking strangers. I've opened myself too much to them, and they've used that to make me appear as mentally ill. So the most that I went to alluding to my issues publicly was only much later in this post where I wrote, "Things didn't really go as planned." That was it. I didn't go any further than that. The idea behind the adopts was to raise enough money and get as close as I possibly can to paying rent, because it was due in a little over a week from now. This is a recording mistake. I wrote the script about 5 days earlier. So rent isn't due in a week, it's actually due tomorrow, the 12th. The reason why it took so long is because I was just busy. I needed to finish 2 different adopts, which took longer than it should have. And I had an extremely busy work weekend. I just didn't have time to work on the video. Getting the adopt sold has been nearly impossible. Without friends, at least. I have a small group of close friends who were aware of my situation and helped me by buying them themselves. If it wasn't for them, they would continue to go unsold. The reason why is because my adopts simply don't catch onto X's algorithm. DeviantArt is also where I post my adopts, and they don't find success there either. Nobody really uses it anymore anyway. And this is why My Art is Worth $4 came out. This was part of my frustration. They don't go anywhere beyond my small group, and who I am sure can only do so much. I've tried everything I could to make them as attractive as possible beyond, my small group of friends. I experimented with video adopts, gave each character a theme, complete with a backstory to go off of, taking the time to play with my art style and try new things. I was basically practicing art by doing these adoptables, but nothing really worked. Some people may remember a stream I did. Not long after I released that video, I linked it on Toy House. It's an art community specifically for storing, uploading, and sharing OCs. It's what I use for world building. It has its own forum, and this is where the criticism of my video comes from, citing how I can't do commissions. The thread doesn't exist anymore, but my live stream has everything saved. I want to emphasize that commissions can't be done at the moment. If I have the time to finish or the money to refund them, whichever comes first, I will. Like I've said, one of my commissions have already been refunded because I had enough money to afford it. I didn't tell anybody in the thread why I couldn't carry these out. Not only did I mention the partial reason in the original video already, I didn't want to come off as making excuses. That wasn't the goal. This is why I repeatedly said, yes, I'm fully aware I don't want to talk about it publicly, my DMs are open. Given what happened in my Ferret Fresh experience, I've learned not to explain, just acknowledge. That's what I was doing, acknowledging. Also said earlier, I wasn't okay, and since I can't access my treatment, I'm still not okay. I ended up letting my fears control my judgment in this thread, and in the stream too. If I ever attempted to explain my situation to strangers, especially in a public forum, I feared it only paint a target on my back. But only the inverse happened. Because that I was choosing not to explain, words were being put in my mouth. It already happened in the thread. One of them had said that I refused to refund people when I couldn't. It's not that I refuse to refund clients, I simply can't afford that right now. At the time of the thread, I had $38 in my bank account. Really fucking embarrassing, but I have to work at a job and I must save the money for the commutes and, in emergencies, food. That money I had was only enough to get me to work and back. Without that money, I can't go. If I don't show up for work, those are hours to my paycheck and potentially the whole job lost. I was still opening and explaining in more detail, but only in private messages. I didn't trust these people enough to do so publicly, and looking back, I give it more thought. Only one person out of dozens in the thread had messaged me privately, and I ended up ignoring it. They were strangers, we were not friends, I had no idea what they were capable of. If they had my information, I simply did not trust them. The last time anyone ever told me that I could always, say something to them, it was only used by people that abandoned me, disclosed vulnerable things to paint me in a bad light, and exploited me. I didn't feel comfortable doing this anymore. So why am I doing this now? Why am I sharing all of this? Because all in all, the one thing that I want is to be okay. This is more than just about commissions or rent. I spent the past 2 years alone, fighting for my life back. I never had a break and I never got to heal. I just want to fix my car, finish commissions, and be happy again. I mentioned earlier that I have some friends helping me get by. Really only let them in less than 4 weeks ago. They sent me money, sometimes through the sales of their own adopts that they were creating to help me, if not doing it straight out of their own wallets. And I thought to myself, just why? No one's ever done that for me before. These are people with lives of their own. I was just somebody on the internet. Why me? I wanted to do this on my own. I really hated asking for help. I really fucking hated it. It's embarrassing and it makes me feel like so unmasculine and immature. I've done all this shit to myself and it's like they're cleaning up my mess. It just felt so pathetic. It's why people left. It's why people clowned on me in the first place. I stopped bothering. I just kept to myself. I did it all to protect myself because I never, ever wanted to ask for help again. But at the same time, where else would I be? These are people that count on me, invested so much into me, hoping I find a way back. These are friends. For the first time in a long time, I could confidently call them friends. Not just online friends, genuine friends that helped change my mind about the online art community. And I can't give up. I've come so far. I'm so close. And I don't want to let them down. And that's why I'm asking for help now. Ko-Fi link is in the description. If just throwing money isn't your thing, I'll continue to try selling adubs in return for your support. If I'm able to make it past this month, I promise I'll do better. I swear I'll make more content, more videos, finish the commissions, do more art besides these fucking adoptables. Be more open to friends, drive the car again, access my medicine again, go back to school again, finally be happy and healthy. Because at the end of the day, all I want more than anything is to find peace with myself.